Hello, everyone. My name is Denecia, and I'm here with Tiffany, and we're both the nutrition interns for the WorkWell Center this year. And we are going to do a presentation on mindful eating. So today we will begin by introducing the topic of mindful eating and compare it to mindless eating. The difference between the two can have a significant effect on your well-being and relationship with food. We will cover the benefits of mindful eating and how it can improve other areas of our lives. We'll offer some helpful habits and attitudes surrounding mindful eating to make adopting the practice of mindful eating easier. And lastly, we will discuss mindful eating in the workplace because this can be a challenge. We have some tips for how to overcome these challenges, and we will go over some of the resources the WorkWell Center offers as well.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. What is mindful eating? So rather than focusing on a calorie restrictive or food restrictive approach, mindful eating is more of an approach to food that focuses on the sensual awareness and the experience of eating. So in mindful eating, we're really trying to listen more to our bodily cues, and this means that we're paying attention to how the food is making us feel. And this extends beyond just the sensation of fullness. We're really striving to be aware of the emotional and mental connections to what we're eating as well. Mindful eating is a bit different from other diet approaches because weight loss is not the focus. Now, that's not to say that you can't lose weight by practicing mindful eating, and in fact, a lot of people do, due to them forming a more positive and healthier relationship with food. However, seeing that number on the scale go down is not the primary goal of mindful eating. Diets tend to focus on the rules of eating with the intent to generate specific outcomes like losing 5 pounds or losing inches off the waistline. And they always have rules that are asking us to pay attention to what we're eating, such as what to eat, what not to eat, how much to eat, and even extending to very specific rules such as maybe chewing 20 times before swallowing. And these recommendations have always been about paying attention, just like one would through mindful eating. The difference is that with mindful eating, it's not about these hard and fast rules or guidelines. Rather, it's about our individual experience with food. No one has the same experience with the same food every time. The idea is for people to have their own experiences and to be in the present while having them. And so mindful eating is more process-oriented rather than outcome-driven. And it's about maintaining a more conscious approach to the foods we choose to eat and when we want to eat them. The intention is to help people savor the moment and the food and encourage their full presence for the eating experience. Again, the focus is on appreciating the food and not on restricting intake. And in doing so, we'll hopefully start to become more in control of choosing what and how much to consume because we'll be more in tune with what our bodies actually need. The end result of practicing mindful eating is to naturally eat less, savor more, and instinctively select healthier foods. And it's not coincidental that with the mindful approach, a person's food choices are often more consistent with generating more desirable health benefits. Okay, so moving on to the next topic, in talking about mindful eating, we also need to talk about the opposite of that, which is mindless eating. And mindless eating occurs when we're not fully present while we're consuming food. This can happen when we're reaching for food out of convenience or habit versus hunger. Sometimes the food is just there, and we feel compulsion to eat because it's readily available and convenient. For example, like having a bag of chips sitting out on a table in front of a TV screen. Sometimes we are in the habit of eating certain things at a certain time and place. For example, someone might have a daily routine of picking up a donut from the break room right as they get settled in for work. Mindless eating can also happen when we're distracted, and there are so many things that can distract us, like doing work while eating, watching a TV show, looking at our cell phones, things like that. Sometimes we can mindlessly eat when we're not in tune with our hunger cues. We might eat because we're feeling a strong emotion, such as sadness, anger, boredom, and stress, and not necessarily because we're actually hungry. Other influences around us might cause us to eat mindlessly are, for example, maybe at a restaurant, we're being serve big portions and we just continue to eat because we're used to finishing the entire portion. Sometimes at a hangout, we see our friends snacking and we want to join in too. And sometimes even if we're feeling full, we just keep eating because we don't want to be wasteful. And in today's lesson, we want to try to start to undo some of the habits of mindless eating and replace them with mindful habits instead.
So now we will talk about the benefits of mindful eating. Mindful eating can improve our lives in many ways. Beyond eating less and focusing on weight, greater body appreciation is one benefit of mindful eating that comes with acceptance. If you are eating mindfully, you can enjoy your food more and feel better about your choices around mealtime. This ties in with an improved relationship with food. With mindful eating, you can find a way to make all foods fit for you and appreciate the way food satisfies and nourishes you. Having a better understanding of your emotions is a benefit of mindful eating through the awareness of why we reach for food. It may not always be because we are hungry, and this awareness can help us to function with our emotions in a more positive manner. Through all of these benefits, it is possible to have greater life satisfaction through the practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness can extend into other areas of our lives. Being mindful can support daily gratitude, body appreciation, being in tune with yourself through exercise habits, and overall supporting improving your self-image. So let's transition into how we can actually achieve mindfulness. Here are some of the attitudes associated with mindful eating. Firstly, it's important to eliminate judgment of food choices and behaviors associated with food. This can sound like giving food moral value or telling yourself you don't deserve to enjoy something. Once we are aware of these judgments, it's important to work through them. Remind yourself that there is no such thing as good or bad foods. It is more important to achieve balance, and you can have less nutrition foods that you enjoy in moderation. This can be achieved along with other helpful mindsets such as acceptance. The journey will be difficult and the process might not be linear. It's okay to accept your challenges just as much as you celebrate your wins. If you have days where you don't eat a full balanced meal all day, that's okay. Or if you had more of something than you would have liked, that's also fine. You can always start fresh at your next meal. Trusting yourself to make the right choices for you is also important. All food journeys are unique, and none will look the same. Lastly, it's important to let go of societal expectations or personal standards that you may have to make your journey outcome-oriented. This can be standards, unrealistic expectations of how much you should eat in a day, or what your plate should look like at every meal. Nutrition is not a one-size-fits-all, and it's extremely individualized to meet your lifestyle and your body's needs.
Okay, so now let's go over some helpful tips during mealtime, beginning with being in tune with what you're currently feeling. So some questions to ask yourself are, how are you feeling when you're reaching for the food? Are you feeling hungry? Are you feeling sad, maybe stressed? Basically, are you eating to alleviate something other than hunger? The next thing to be aware of are distractions. Try to limit or eliminate all distractions while you're eating. There are so many environmental triggers that can divert our attention, like looking at screens. And it's easy to fall into that trap where you're not paying attention to what you're eating. And before you know it, you've polished off more than what you had intended to eat, or maybe what would have made you feel good to eat. Something that many of us don't think about often is the production process of food. Next time you eat, try to consider how your food got from the farm to your table. And take the opportunity to pause for a moment and think about all the ways in which food nourishes us. It helps us give a greater appreciation to our food and lets us fully enjoy the experience of eating, which brings us to the next point, which is to savor your food. Although we just talked about how food is nourishing, we also want to enjoy food beyond the nourishment aspect as well, because food is more than just fuel for your body. We also have strong mental and emotional connections to food. So really take a moment to fully appreciate the experience of eating. And the last tip is to check in with yourself. Try to consistently see how you're feeling as you eat and be mindful of your hunger cues. Really be honest with yourself and take a moment to sit down and consciously think about how eating is making you feel. Okay, so now I'm going to introduce how to implement mindful eating in the workplace, which can be a challenging environment to practice this in, because it's an environment with a lot of food and behavioral triggers that can sometimes be out of our control. But I promise that it's still possible to practice mindful eating at work. Okay, so our first tip is to be present. This means that we're going to try to avoid distractions. For example, doing work or being on our phones while we're eating. There's so much that we need to do at the office, and sometimes we want to be efficient by working and eating at the same time. Sometimes we're simply on break having a snack, but we want something to entertain ourselves. So we whip out our phones, and before we know it, we fall into that trap of mindless eating. Again, always try to bring the focus back to the eating experience. Try to eat more slowly so you can truly be present as you have your snack or meal. The next point is to recognize your triggers. Ask yourself, why are you eating? What are you feeling and thinking? Do you sometimes feel pressure to eat at the office? There's such a big social component to food at the workplace, and sometimes you might find yourself saying yes to going out to eat something or getting a snack with a colleague when you're really doing it out of social obligation. Think to yourself, do I actually want to eat right now? And do I want to eat this food item? And if so, how much of it do I actually want to eat? Questions like this help us gain more insight into what we're really trying to get out of the eating experience. And the last tip is to change your patterns and environment. Next time you're at your workplace, try to take stock of your environment. Are there any food triggers there, such as maybe a drawer full of snacks or a candy jar on your desk? Try to remove any food triggers you think might lead you to start eating mindlessly. And if you eat out of stress or boredom, try to find a different outlet, like stretching or taking a quick walk if you're able to. Okay, and finally, make sure to always trust yourself and listen to your body. What do you really want to eat? And let yourself stop when you feel satisfied. Okay, and here are some healthy snack ideas for when you're at the office. Low-fat, unsweetened Greek yogurt with berries or any other kind of fruit is a delicious and nutritious snack that's easy to prepare. Homemade baked veggie chips, vegetables with hummus. Low-fat string cheese is another great snack for when you want something savory. Chia seed pudding, 3-ingredient cookies, which can be made with just bananas, oats, and walnuts. Homemade energy bars, whole wheat crackers with low-fat cheese, homemade granola, walnut-stuffed dates are just a few suggestions for fun and nutritious snacks that you can incorporate into your workday. Some of these recipes are actually in the WorkWell Center recipe library with video instructions on how to make them. And you can check out the library for other recipe inspirations as well. Okay, now let's go into some of the challenges we might run into when we're first starting our journey to eating more mindfully. It's not always easy to tap into that mindset right away, so let's address some common questions that come up. Okay, and the first question that sometimes comes up is, what if I've already made bad food choices? And to that we say, it's okay. Food is neither good nor bad in that there is no moral alignment to food. Just pick up from wherever you left off and remember that it's never too late to start up again, even if it's the last meal or snack of the day. The point is to practice mindful eating whenever you can, even if it's halfway through the day. The next concern many people have is that they just can't seem to get into that mindful headspace. And that's perfectly normal. Practicing mindfulness can be hard at first because you're trying to shift your entire mental framework, and that's challenging for a lot of people. Our advice would be to try narrowing down some of your focus to just one thing at a time. Maybe instead of thinking about all the ways in which you can be mindful, just think about one thing to hone in on. Maybe just start with asking yourself the question, how does eating this food make me feel? Each time you're about to eat something. Over time, once that becomes more instinctive to you, then you can start to add in other considerations like paying attention to your hunger cues. Which brings us to the next concern. What if I can't tell if I'm hungry? And believe it or not, this is something that a lot of people struggle with, especially when we're in an environment where food is so readily available that we often eat even when we're not hungry. It can be hard to understand our body cues when we haven't been paying attention to them for so long, but just give it time and take a moment to make an observation about your hunger the next time you eat something. The next question is, what if I just want junk food? And it's okay to have some less healthy foods that you crave, but just be mindful about how much you eat and how that food is making you feel. A lot of times when we eat less healthy items, we also don't feel too great afterwards. The hope is to keep these foods in balance with the ones that do make us feel good. And the final question that comes up is, will I always have to do these mindful exercises? And at this point, a lot of people are probably overwhelmed with all the things that they need to keep in mind in order to practice mindful eating. But I want to reiterate that these questions are just guidelines to help you be present when you're eating and to be in tune with your body. You might not need to remember every single thing in order to form that mental connection to food. And additionally, as you become more familiar with the practice of mindful eating, the process will start to feel more natural and instinctive, or you'll do it automatically without thinking. Okay, and now we're going to give you some hands-on experience with mindful eating by doing a little exercise together. Okay, so to do this exercise, you will need to pick out any small food item you have in your vicinity. And this can be a grape, a chocolate kiss, an almond, any small thing that you can hold and observe. So go ahead and pause this video if you don't have anything nearby, and when you're ready, you can press play again. Okay, do you have your food item now? Let's start. So take a moment and make observations about the food item with your sight and your touch. How heavy is it? What does it feel like? What about the color of the item? Does it look shiny or matte? Now observe with your sense of smell. What do you notice? Does it smell sweet, savory, or buttery? Are there any distinctive or unique aromas? Now take the food item and roll it between your fingers. Does it make any sounds as you do so? Do you notice any crunchiness or maybe some stickiness? Go ahead and place the food between your lips and just hold it there momentarily. Do you notice any bodily reactions to it? mental or emotional reactions. Now allow the food to enter your mouth, but don't chew it yet. Can you taste the food? Are you salivating more? What does your body instinctively want to do? Now bite down on the food once. What is the texture like? What about the taste? Slowly begin to chew and notice all the ways your senses are perceiving the food. Make sure to chew the food completely before you swallow. Now that you've swallowed the food, close your eyes for a few moments and take note of how you feel in the aftermath and what you just experienced.
Okay, now transitioning out of that activity, we're going to talk about a little bit of the resources that the WorkWell Center has available. So there's a few different resources to support healthy eating habits in the workplace and away from work. As Tiffany mentioned earlier, there is a recipe library featured on the website and the YouTube channel with healthy meals and snack inspiration. There is also a healthy dining on campus guide that highlights all of the food vendors on campus. The guide goes through healthier options on the menu and even suggests some substitutions you can make, such as different dressings, lower fat protein options, and healthier sauces. All recommendations are based on the USDA guidelines and reviewed by registered dietitian Lindsay Pines. If you have any additional questions, you can contact Lindsay Pines directly through the USC Hospitality website. There is a contact form under the Menus and Nutrition page where you can submit a question with your information and Lindsay will get back to you. The USC Hospitality website also has other resources created by Lindsay Pines about nutrition and healthy eating. Now, putting it all together. Mindful eating is about appreciating food and becoming more in tune with yourself and feelings of hunger. The more you practice, the easier it becomes. Mindfulness can translate into other areas of your life as well.
We really encourage everyone to try some of these tips at your next mealtime or when you go into the office. Really engage in the experience and notice any differences. And that's going to be it for our presentation on mindful eating. Thank you all so much for watching.